Today's webinar is Optimizing Your Sales Order Processing with DJ Medlin from B&L, a business consultant in our professional services department. And for this webinar, we are also going to be having Bobby Jarvie with Radley to also assist DJ in helping her present this with you all today. Looks like we are ready to turn it over to DJ and Bobby, so take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Bobby Jarvie, and I'm with Radley. And DJ from B&L is on the line with me as well. Today, what our plan is to talk to you about optimizing your sales order processing. So Radley and B&L have worked together for over 20 years now, I think, with implementing EDI documents into Odyssey and even before Odyssey with Bliss. So we've worked together for a long time with EDI processing and automating all of that into Odyssey. But what we want to talk about today is other ways to automate sales order processing outside of EDI. So maybe you're not having to exchange EDI documents, but how can you optimize your sales order processing flow so that you don't have so much manual action going on for putting in sales orders, getting things via a PDF document through email and manually typing those orders in. We're going to talk today about how we can automate some of those processes outside of standard EDI. So I talk about EDI. Well, what is that? EDI is an acronym for Electronic Data Interchange. And EDI is a group of standards of documentation that is sent electronically between trading partners. And what I mean by trading partners, these could be customers sending electronic orders to a company. It could also be a company sending electronic orders to their suppliers. So when we talk about EDI, most of the time when you hear about EDI, it's because you have a customer that is requiring you to exchange EDI documents in order to do business with them. So some of these companies are different OEMs like GM, Ford, Chrysler, Honda, Caterpillar, John Deere. They all require suppliers to receive their data from them via EDI and send back to them things like advanced shipping notices, electronic invoices, and so on. So how many, could you guys put in the chat, how many of you currently exchange EDI documents with some of your customers? Let us know if you're actually doing EDI currently, or if you're starting to have those requirements sent to you by some of your customers. So what we want to talk about today are what are some other ways that we can optimize the automation of sales order processing. So what if you have customers that aren't sending you EDI or having you push to use EDI transactions? What are some of the other options that you have to process other types of information and automate sales orders, just like if you were receiving EDI documents from your customers? So some of those other files, we've got a couple examples here on the screen. So down near the bottom, we've got an Excel spreadsheet. So some of you might just receive an Excel spreadsheet currently from some of your customers, letting you know what they want to order. So Radley can actually take that spreadsheet or CSV file format or pipe delimited file, we can take that information and process it over to Odyssey the same way we would an EDI standard document. We could use fixed record length files as well. So the first 30 characters is going to be the purchase order number, and then it's going to be the purchase order date and the part numbers and so on. So as long as we can have a standard format of a file that could be sent to you, we can take that data and transform it into data for Odyssey so that that information wouldn't manually have to be entered by you. Some other examples on the screen is in the middle in the black, there's a JSON file there. Another interesting one is on the right-hand side, you'll see that order, and that actually, we pull that information out of an email. So we've got customers that they have a website where someone can log into the website and place an order, and that website then creates a standardized format of an order that we can actually pull the data from that standard position. So as long as you can agree on a certain set of the way a file will look so that we can get something, or a consistently formatted email like this, we can actually take that data and translate that into Odyssey. So the flow looks like this. So we've got your trading partners coming in. These could be OEMs, they could be other customers, suppliers, 3PLs that you're dealing with, carriers. That information, we can take any information, and you can see across the top, we've got, it could be an EDI document or a CSV file, XML, JSON, and we pull that information from the trading partner. Now, those communications can be done in different ways as well. So we could communicate and receive a file via an email. We could receive a file that gets dropped onto a secure FTP connection where we can reach out to a certain directory and pull that information in and translate it. So we have a lot of options available on the communications with the trading partner to get that information. And then we take that information through the iReady system, and we'll create some reports for your group. And then we actually communicate via web service APIs into the Odyssey e-commerce module. And so what we're going to do is we're going to actually take a look at that flow in a demo. And the iReady software is accessible just via an internet browser. So I'm just using Google Chrome to get into the system. And again, we're trying to automate everything. So we don't want it where you're going to have to come in the morning and then log into the system and then process the data, right? We want this to be all automated for you. So all of this stuff is going to run behind the scenes. So no matter how often you would like to try to pull in that data. So let's say, for example, we have one of your customers, for example, is sending data via an email, and we're getting that into a certain email box. Or maybe another one is sending it via a secure FTP connection. We actually schedule these jobs in the system to keep everything automated. So you see, I've got two different customer receives. And if we take a look at one, we can see that this one runs every 4 hours, and it runs Monday through Friday. So every 4 hours, we'll go out and check we will need to communicate with that trading partner and pick up the information, and then we'll translate that data through. We've got another example here of customer number 2, where we're just running once a day, and we're running 7 days a week on that one to check the information. And if for any reason there's an issue with processing that data, we can automate an alert that will go to mailroom@radley.com saying, hey, there was an issue with this one, or you need to see what actually happened on this one. So with these scheduled jobs, we actually do have a complete audit of everything that happens as well. So you can see here was my different receive jobs that ran. I can tell if I have any issues. So you can tell here that I've got a warning status as opposed to a green status of my data. And when I pick up the information, we translate that information through the iReady system. And when that comes through, we do communicate to Odyssey via a web service call. So we can see here that we reached out to Odyssey, passed the information, and there was no errors with that. So I have a successful translation and communication. Then we also can automate reports to your customer service department, for example, where we can take that information and turn it into data for them that they can receive via email. We also offer dashboards with our system, and you can see the information that's coming in. So I've got here's my information that was processed. So then when I go into Odyssey, I know that I should be seeing these various lines on my order that's been processed through. So you have a complete traceability of everything that happens inside of the system. You're warned if there's any issues that happen, and there's no manual entry of the data. So all of this information that's been processed now will be in your Odyssey system. So I'm going to hand it over to DJ, and DJ is going to show you what it looks like on the Odyssey side.
Well, yes, I will. Thank you, Bobby. Let me grab my share. And I'm sure I can share the right one. There we go. So within Odyssey, we have a section here for e-commerce incoming batch. This does require, I think in Bobby's slide, it did say the prerequisite is to have the license purchased for the e-commerce module here in Odyssey. I do have several items here in this batch list here. This part is not so automated as the iReady side by grabbing that information and sending it here. There is some manual intervention here. If everything is set correctly, what you really can do then is do what we call a validate. But I want to go look at the data first. So let me go here to items, and I'm going to do a change. So what was sent over is this information here. So there was a trading partner in there that was listed. There was a PO number, there was a part number, and then there is the requirement information. When this comes in, and this was coming in without any of this other stuff, information being loaded yet, it would load up this information here to say who the ship to was, the product that matched that one, and when we validate it, it's going to be looking to see if there's an open purchase order for that or an open PO for that. I'm going to go ahead and do a validate on this, and we'll be able to see that, oh, we have an error. So now we have to manage that error. So I'm going to look at the error, and the incoming unit of measure doesn't match the product's unit of measure. So things that we take into our brains as we're actually manually entering this information from a report now has to be programmed, and I use my finger quotes for that to say, oh, I have to do something with this incoming unit of measure. So if I look at the incoming unit of measure on this, I don't know what it is, so I didn't even look at that. It says EA. That's our standard. So let me go get that part number and change that. And these are all of the things that we work out and test and make sure that we have that kind of information so we don't get these errors all the time. They happen once as we're testing. And I'm going to go ahead and change this unit of measure here on this guy. And so now I can close that. And let me validate that again. Okay, so now it says it's validated, and then I can post it. There is indeed a validate and post button here, which would do both of those things at the same time. And if it had an error, it would create an error batch out here of a bunch of 9s, and it would be red with the error saying there was an error on it. But I can now post this. And what that posting does is it goes and makes a new customer order for that. So let me go look at that a minute. So let's bring up that batch again. If I go look at the items again, it has now created an order number 28, item 1. And I'd be able to see that information that was just loaded into Odyssey. And there it is. And if I do the explore on that, I'm able to see my header information that says who's the ship to, my PO number that came in on that, and then the item that was purchased. Now this is what I call it in Odyssey. This is what the customer calls it. So the customer part is indeed there. There's the request date and the request quantity. Go back to this guy and get rid of this. So I left these two out here on purpose. One of the testing items that is done is by this unique ID called the mailbox number. And this is to help prevent having something sent in duplicate. So I have, last month this data came in. And then this month it comes in again and it has the same mailbox number. Well, is it really truly the same data that's coming in again? And now if I load it in, it's going to cause problems with my current data. Or is it really truly a new piece of information coming in, and we meaning Radley and B&L and our, you as the customer, work out what we want that mailbox number to be to make it be unique. We do not want to use date and time because that's going to change. We want it to be, and we had at Radley, they have done this many times and mapped it from current pieces of information that are coming in on that data. So we'd want that mailbox number to be unique. If I try to validate this one, it's going to tell me that there is a duplicate transmission received. And then there's other problems here that I did not process. Okay. So I would just have to delete one of them in order to process that, if it really truly was a duplicate. Now this one has other errors, and I'm not going to go through and make you watch me do all of that. We just went through that unit of measure issue, and then the customer part number isn't valid. But what it did find is that the trading partner ID, it did find that, oops, sorry, wrong button. Change. It did find the trading partner ID to match to what I have in my Odyssey system is the Toyota ship to. And it did find the customer part number for DJ cover 3. Okay, but unit of measure is not correct. Okay, so we have these things to match, and when we do our testing and training, we're checking through all of those and working out those different kinds of bugs. Okay. And then if an ASN, advanced ship notification, is required, we are able to do that, and that's all set up in the master or in the ship to master. Let me back up, sorry. In the ship to master, we have these transaction definitions that we're going to set up and assign to that ship to. One of them happens to be 856 or an ASN, and then you can send that advanced ship notification on. Bobby, am I missing anything?
No, I think that's great, DJ. The one thing too, you know, we talked about this, the automating of the sales order process, but also like DJ went into here, we can send back additional information to those customers too, the advanced ship notice or an electronic invoice. And again, it does not have to be in EDI standard format. You could send, again, a CSV file or spreadsheet back to the customer, letting them know what's on the way for ship that's been shipped, and also for electronically invoicing. So we've got inbound and outbound options here for integrating and automating these processes.
We're going to be taking questions now in the chats, and we do have one to start things off. And the question is, how long does it take to normally implement?
Yeah, that's a good question. The for implementation, it will depend a bit on the amount of customers that you want to automate, and you know, will you reuse some of the same formats and things? Generally, it's a 4 to 6 week process, and that's to develop the layouts and get those mapped to the Odyssey layouts. And then as DJ talked about, we will go through a training and a testing exercise before we move that into production. So all in all, that would be an approximately 4 to 6 week process of gathering the information, developing the interface, testing that between the two systems, any training that would happen, and then moving that into production.
Great, thank you so much.